pulled money out not when the plan said so, but in moments of desperation, just to reduce pressure. The most dangerous sign of toxic for an investor is simple. Around this person, you become less disciplined. And markets do not reward decisions made to reduce pain. If someone undermines your structure, they undermine your capital. Because the market always profits from the people who lose discipline. Hi, my name is Alec, and today's topic is how toxic relationship can destroy your investment. Hi, today's episode is not about what to buy, and it's not about market predictions. Today is uncomfortable but very grown-up, important topic. How toxic relationships can quietly destroy your capital. And let me say the main point right away. This is not psychology for the sake of psychology. This is about your decision quality, discipline, liquidity, and the system you either protect or you lose. What actually destroys investors in something else? A life environment that turns them into someone who makes decisions not by plan, but by pain. Let's break it down like adults. My personal story confession. I've been through a relationship I entered as a disciplined investor. A solid portfolio, a clear system, and a sense of control. I had an investor journal, rules, logic, when I enter, when I exit, what my allocations are, what my horizons are. And then real life hit, conflict, stress, constant tension in the background. And the most dangerous thing happened. I started breaking down my own rules, not because I didn't know what the right move was, but because I was in a state where doing the right thing felt physically hard. I pulled money out not when the plan said so, but in moments of desperation, just to reduce pressure. And the outcome was predictable. My capital shrunk. At the same time, my business started slipping, my personal growth slowed down, and my health took a hit too. And this is the frame I want you to hold. Toxic relationships don't only hit your portfolio, they hit your income engine, your focus, your energy, productivity, and the very thing that funds your investing. What toxic means specifically for an investor? Let's define toxicity without drama. Toxic relationships aren't we argued something. Toxic relationships are a system where you repeatedly live in attention and anticipate conflict, lose sleep and lose focus, repair the situation with emotions and money, and gradually become worse as a person, as an entrepreneur, and as an investor. The most dangerous sign of toxic for an investor is simple. Around this person, you become less disciplined, not less romantic, not less fun, less structured, less stable, less rational. And people often make the same mistake. Personal life is separate, investing is separate. It's nice theory. In real life, they are one and the same. The mechanics, how toxic relationships hit your money. No blame, no moral lectures, only facts. There are 3 channels through which toxic relationships damage capital. Channel number 1. Stress changes your risk behavior. When you're under stress, you become a different investor. You have less patience. You tolerate uncertainty worse. You want relief fast. And this isn't just how it feels. Research on stress psychology shows that stress responses, including cortisol, can shift financial risk-taking behavior and decision pattern. So in the moment you might think, I'm making a rational choice, but often you are making a regulation choice, not what's correct, but what makes the discomfort stop. And markets do not reward decisions made to reduce pain. Channel number 2. Sleep. The quiet killer of decision quality. Toxic relationships almost always damage sleep. And sleep is not a lifestyle. Sleep is a financial asset. There are reviews linking sleep deprivation to worse decision making, higher impulsivity, weaker self-control, poorer flexibility, more short-term thinking, In investing, this looks like you check your portfolio more often, you change your plan more often, you make faster, worse decisions, you lose the ability to see through discomfort. You become the perfect customer for a market that makes money on your impulses. Channel number 3. Your partner shapes your reality and your expectation. This one is underrated. Partner doesn't only affect your emotion, they can affect your expectations. Research from the New York Fed looks at how information and expectation spill over within couples and influence household decisions. In plain language, if you live next to someone who constantly amplifies anxiety and pressure, your brain starts viewing the world through that lens. And your financial decisions stop being investment decisions. They become defensive reaction. The main trap: you think you're saving the situation, but you're actually bleeding capital. In toxic relationships, there is a financial pattern people don't even notice. Conflict, stress, you want control back, and you do something extreme. Sell, withdraw, change strategy, break the plan. Sometimes there is another layer: compensation. Spending to calm things down, gifts to end the argument, impulse purchases to numb the tension. That's why I'm saying toxic relationships aren't just personal, they're a direct attack on your capital management system. Investor-specific red flags, not romance red flags. Let's be blunt. If you're an investor, red flags look like this: pressure through money, prove it. If you love me, do it. You can afford it. That's not love. That's a power tool. Disrespect for your rules, mocking your investor journal, your limits, your discipline. Come on, withdraw it now. Stop being so rigid. You only live once. If someone undermines your structure, they undermine your capital. Constant crisis followed by financial repair. If every conflict ends with you paying, gifting, or compensating, that's not intimacy. That's a model. Isolation from your work routine and people. Anything that reduces your productivity reduces your capital directly. Financial games and secrecy. Money becomes a weapon. Manipulation, hidden obligations, guilt, tests, double standards. The right partner isn't someone who doesn't get in the way. This is the part people don't like to hear. The right partner isn't someone who doesn't interfere with investing. The right partner is someone next to whom you sleep better, you have more focus, your decision become calmer, and your discipline becomes stronger, not weaker. That's a real filter. The practical plan: how to protect your capital from toxic dynamics. Now let's get practical. No heroism, just structure. Step 1. 3 pockets. Financial architecture: mine, yours, ours. Your personal money stays personal. Joint expenses go through a shared budget. And you define rules. What can be spent without agreement? What requires a conversation? This removes a huge trigger. Power struggles build on financial ambiguity. A protocol you don't break on emotion. You need red button, strict rules, no portfolio actions on the day of major conflict. A mandatory 24 hours pause before any unplanned withdrawals or trade. No rescue moves when you're exhausted. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be protected from yourself when you're in a bad state. Step 3. Sleep and routine as risk management. This is not motivation, it's a math. If sleep is broken, decisions get worse. The evidence is clear in reviews and decision making and sleep loss. So the minimum investor standard is: slept well, you can decide. Didn't sleep, you do not touch your portfolio. And you do not negotiate money mid-conflict. Step 4. 1 investor meeting per week. Instead of constant chaos, you create 1 weekly slot. You open the journal, review the plan, record decisions, and move on. Capital is built by repeated actions, not by emotion reactions. Step 5. One sober question. Do this relationship make me stronger or weaker as a capital manager? If weaker, you're already paying. The only one question is how long and how much. Closing. The most expensive asset isn't yield, it's the ability to hold your system. If I compress everything into one idea, that would be: you can know the market, you can know strategy, you can be talented. But if you live next to an environment that turns you into a stressed, sleep-deprived person who breaks your rules, the market would take its cut. Because the market always profits from the people who lose discipline. So the real question: do your relationships straighten your system or break it? Write in the comments what matters more to you, feelings right now or structure for years. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Thanks for being with me. See you next time.